Live here in Kigali, Rwanda again. I am right now in Vision City getting ready to pick up my son. It is about 4 o'clock here in Kigali right now. My son gets out at 4:30. Um, And so I thought I would come here a little bit early and do this video. But uh, this video is about what drives me crazy here in Rwanda. And this is also kind of one of the reasons why we have decided to move from where we are to our new place, uh, which is literally, it's about 5 minutes from here. Um, but we are looking forward. We are moving literally in a couple days. We are looking forward to that because the one thing that has been a challenge, very, very hard to deal with here in Rwanda. Now, just to give a little background, I am from the North. I grew up in DC, and so I am used to, because I'm from the North, I am, used to the hustle and bustle, used to things moving like that, and just, things just moving. But when you get here, uh, you things are slower, um, and because we have also visited several African countries. We know kind of, how things go. Uh, there are some things that we expect to see uh, when we go to an African country, and so. Um, but I think it's something totally different when you are actually living there. So when we went to Tanzania and Ghana, we got to experience, uh, when you're living in D.C., Atlanta, Nashville, Tennessee. When you are in New York, places like this, you get to see, traffic. But when you get here, it is something totally different because in the States, one of the things you'll realize is that, you'll get traffic everywhere you go. Um, and because people, and depending on the city that you live in, the traffic can get worse and worse because, more people may be moving to that city. For instance, in Atlanta and in Nashville. When we were living in Nashville, I heard that they were like 200 people moving to Nashville every year. Excuse me, not every year, every day. And so the traffic was just getting bad. I mean, it was just getting bad. And one of the things that frustrated me is that, it's not just that, you have traffic, but when you have, people who just can't drive. That's one of the frustrating things. And sometimes what makes the traffic even worse, one of the reasons why you have the traffic is because people can't drive. Uh, and so, I'm used to, accustomed to that in the States, and as well uh, visiting several African countries. But we have moved here to Rwanda, and it is because we are living here. And as a matter of fact, in the last African countries we went to, we never, um, we didn't drive. We always took an Uber, or we got driven around by a local who was familiar with the area. And so we didn't have to drive it. But coming here, it has been, let me tell you, it has been excruciating Now, let me say this. Let me give this disclaimer off the top, because I want to make sure that, if we have any individuals who are from Rwanda who are watching, I like Rwanda. We plan on being here in Rwanda, but let me tell you, the driving here in Rwanda is atrocious, and that is being that's being nice. It is bad. It is bad, bad, bad. And so, for instance, like I said before, we are moving, and one of the reasons we're moving is because where we live in the area called Kagarama, it is about 20 minutes from our daughter's school. Our daughters, their school, they go to school in Ribeiro, and then it's about from Ribeiro to Vision City, where I am now picking up my son. It's about 25 minutes, and then from Vision City to our house, depending on the traffic, it could be between 20, 25 minutes to an hour, especially in the mornings. In the mornings, after I drop off my daughters first, and then drop off my son, and then coming home from there. So my round trip journey in the mornings and in the evenings is at the very least an hour and 45 minutes, an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, round trip. So it was about an hour and a half before they changed the time that the children had to be in school. So initially, they had to be in school a little bit early, about a half an hour earlier. And so we left earlier. I left earlier to drop the children off, which means that, I kind of beat some of the traffic. And so it would typically take about an hour and a half. Now it's about an hour and 45 minutes round trip in the morning, and then an hour and 45 minutes in the evening. It is just crazy. And it's not just that it's traffic, but it is, I mean, the driving here will drive you crazy. So you'll be, you'll be driving in your lane, you're going northbound, and let's say there's traffic backed up, and then cars. Now, it's only two lanes. There's one going northbound, one going southbound, and it is, it's bumper to bumper, and people will straight up pull out of the northbound lane that you are. I mean, they'll be behind you, right? They'll pull out, drive on the other side of the road, okay, drive down, okay, and expect to cut you off, and you're supposed to just let them get in. Now, and when I mean it happens all the time, it happens all the time and everywhere. And it has been very, to say frustrating is an understatement, because it's beyond frustrating, because, people cut you off. There is no, typically, there is, the certain people, drivers have the right of way. Yes, it is very stressful. And that's one of the reasons why we got to move closer, because being on the road is not good for my emotional health. It is very stressful. It is a headache. And so typically, where we were, raised, certain people have the right of way. Um, and that does not exist here. It does not exist. So if you're coming to Rwanda, you have to throw everything that you have learned and been taught about driving. You have to throw it out the window and basically start from scratch. And so, for instance, yesterday, I was on the way home yesterday morning, on the way home after, no, not yesterday, but the day before, on the way home after picking up the children in the evening. And I'm driving, and there is a moto that's driving in front of me. And, the moto he's, doing his thing. And I'm talking about maybe the moto is probably maybe about 10 feet in front of us. And the driver's about 10 feet in front of us, the moto, and coming the opposite way is traffic. There's a car probably about 10 feet in front of the moto coming the opposite direction. He turns, okay? Now, one of the things you'll notice here is people don't turn with urgency. So let's say if you're going northbound, the traffic is coming southbound, the person is getting ready to turn in front of you, cut across. And what they'll do is there is, typically, if you're getting ready to if you're getting ready to turn and you see the traffic is coming near you, coming towards you, coming from the opposite direction, typically, you'll speed up to get out the way. Here, that does not happen. So what they'll do is people will cut off, they will come across the traffic, okay, and they will cut you off, and they will slow down when they're coming across. They will literally slow down when they're coming across. So you are the one who is coming in the opposite direction. You have to slow down, basically stop, so that way that individual can get past, and there's no speeding up. None of that is taking place. None of that is taking place. And so we're on the way home, yesterday, 2 days ago, and this moto is, like I said, about 10 feet in front of us, and then there is another car coming the opposite direction. He cuts in front of the moto, and the moto is probably, like I said, the moto is probably about 5 to 10 feet away from this car. And when the car cuts, when the car makes the, so we're coming northbound, northbound, and the other car's coming southbound. When the car turns left, their left, our right. When the car turns left, there is basically kind of like an incline. And so when the car turns, the car's not, they're not turning and just, keep going. There's kind of like an incline. So they're turning, and then they have to stop because they can't just go up up the driveway. They stop. I mean, they turn literally at the last second, and the moto has to slam on his brakes. He ends up bumping the car, and behind that car, there is a truck coming. And the truck ends up slamming on his brakes. The moto ends up, the guy on the moto, he ends up falling, whatever. And I'm frustrated. I mean, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, so the person in the passenger seat is facing me, because I'm right, I'm right behind the moto, where the moto was, put it like that. And I'm just looking like, it's you guys' fault. You know what I'm saying? Why would you even make that turn? And so the guy gets out, the driver gets out, and he, I guess, looks at his car or whatever, doesn't say anything to the moto driver, nothing to the moto driver, looks at his car, gets back in, and then drives into his jw.org building, Jehovah's Witness building. No offense to anybody on here who's Jehovah's Witness. But it was so frustrating. And you see this over and over and over again. The driving here, people will cut you off. They won't think anything about it. And, and they expect you to move out the way. They expect you to slow down. They expect you to do whatever is necessary so that they can get to where they want to go. And the frustrating thing, this is the thing that kills me, is because people will cut you off, okay? The driving is crazy here. But then it's not like they're cutting you off so they can get to their destination faster, because they'll cut you off and then they'll go 20 miles below the speed limit. Like and I'm not exaggerating. So here they do kilometers. And so let's say typically the speed limit is 60 kilometers. Everywhere you go, 60 kilometers. And so what happens is, on a regular basis, I'm not exaggerating. You'll find people going 20 kilometers an hour in a 60. And this is, it's like when you're watching a movie, sometimes when you're watching a movie and you see, because they've set the scene up. And so you have all of the cars are going slow and they're going the exact same speed. This is how it is sometimes here. I would say sometimes, but a lot of times you'll see people just, and I'm thinking, okay, what, am I missing something? But you'll see it over and over and over again. And you drive up and you see why. I mean, you're wondering, okay, I mean, maybe what's going on? Maybe some people are on the phone, okay, so they're not good at multitasking. Um, but then there are others who are just, I mean, they're just chilling. You're trying to get to where you're trying to go. Now, I can understand, listen, at least do the speed limit. But 20, 30 miles, 30 kilometers an hour, yeah, I mean, it literally drives me crazy. And so if you are planning on coming to Rwanda, let me tell you, I mean, that's why a lot of people have drivers, because it is just, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. My wife, we have one vehicle. My wife does not drive. And that's one thing that I'm very hesitant for her to drive, because I mean, it's crazy. People will walk out in front of you. People will cut you off. Motos are coming from everywhere. And so there is no, just a relaxing, chill drive home. Okay. You have to be in a defensive driver here. You have to, offensive driver, let me put it like that. You have to be an offensive driver. You have to be paying attention at all times, because if not, you will hit somebody, you will get hit. I mean, it's crazy. And so, if you are planning on moving to Rwanda, uh, if you're planning on, first of all, if you're planning on visiting Rwanda, if you're not somebody who is an offensive driver, if you're not, very careful when you drive, then, if you're coming to visit, my suggestion will be you get a driver. Have somebody to take you around, because if not, there's a good chance that, you may get in an accident or something like that. So please be careful. Um, and of course, you can get drivers here. What'll happen is, let's say if you have your own car, if you're moving here, and you purchase your own car, you bring your own car, you can get a driver, and you can pay them, monthly, and they'll drive your car, and they'll take you around where you need to go if you don't feel comfortable driving in Rwanda. Um, and like I said, me being from the north, everything is hustle and bustle. So I'm trying to get to where I got to go, even if I'm going to be early. And it's not like that here. There is no rush. Um, you know, Everybody's kind of, hey, we'll get there when we get there. If it's tomorrow, if it's in another 5 hours, then so be it. But there is no rush. Um, that's something that we kind of knew before we moved here. That just here in Africa, period. On the continent, things tend to slow down. So people are not, you know, very much in a rush. We've talked about that when we talked about the bank situation and a whole lot of other things. Um, when you're meeting people, um, people aren't necessarily in a hurry to get to where you need to go. We've had when we were looking for our houses, um, we would meet. Hello, Africa. Greetings. Thank you so much for watching. When we were looking for houses, and we would have brokers. They call them brokers here. We call them realtors. Um, and people would come late. It's natural. It's common for people to come late. And so I am a stickler for time. If we're going to meet at 11, we're going to meet at 11. We're not meeting at 11:05, 11:10, 11:30. We're meeting at 11. And so there have been several times where I've had to say, hey, we'll catch you next time, because the individual that we were supposed to meet didn't get there on time. And so, I understand, give some grace, okay, 5 minutes or whatever. But when you text me or you send me a message at the time we're supposed to meet saying, I'm leaving now, I'm leaving now, and you send me that message at the time that we're supposed to meet, um, there are not most people that, yeah, it's not the cars, it's just the time. I mean, people are typically, it's common for people to be late, um, and so when you say, okay, it starts at 11, it may not necessarily mean that we're starting at 11, you know. And I've watched other YouTubers who have kind of said the same thing where, you one of the things I realize is that those who I have dealt with here, especially brokers, one of the things they, uh, when they when they realize that you're American, they tend to, um, try to be there on time, especially when let them know, listen, I'm going to be here at this time. And, I've told people, my time is important. And so, you know, I can't just be hanging out because you decide you want to, be 20, 30 minutes late. I can't, just hang around like that. Um, and so, but you have to set the standard, because if not, then people are going to continue to come late. So, like I said, there are times where we were supposed to meet at, such and such time, and you tell me, hey, I'm on the way at the exact time that we're supposed to be meeting, and I'll just leave and I say, I'll catch you later, or I'll try somebody else. I'll use somebody else. And then right after that, the individuals end up being there on time the next time, because they know that, you know, you're not going to go for it. And I think that's one of the things as well that you have to consider, think about here, is that, you know, there is just like in America and anywhere else, there is a certain culture. And if you're not used to that culture, you're not comfortable with that culture, then you need to, depending on what it is, you have to let people know, this is what I'm used to. Um, and, I'm not I mean, for me, I'm not going to just, because everybody's used to being late, I'm not going to just, get accustomed to that, because time is important. And so for me, if you are, um, if I say, we're going to meet a certain time, um, I may miss out on some deals or something like that, things that may be important. But I would rather miss out, even if you can't change the entire culture, you know, but that particular individual that you're dealing with will know, okay, when I'm dealing with this individual, I know these are the expectations. And so, but you asked Africa, you asked a question about land. Land is, I mean, it depends on where you are, would depend on how much the land is. You can get land further out of the city, which is going to be less expensive. We're talking about a couple $1,000s. But then when you are someplace like inside of the city, then it's going to be more expensive. And also Kigali is becoming, I mentioned this in the last video, is becoming more and more expensive. So this is the time really where, if you are interested in purchasing land here in Kigali, this is the time where you really need to be doing it, because these things are getting more expensive. More and more people are starting to come. Houses are becoming more expensive. Land is becoming more expensive. And so you're really right now the ground floor. And so I've said this in a previous video. To be honest, in about 5 years, Kigali is going to be the spot. Kigali is going to be the spot in Africa, because it's very progressive. The president is doing big things. Um, the infrastructure is here. Everything you need. So, to be honest, if you're looking to move here, if you're looking to buy land, this is the time, because this place is it's booming. Yeah, I mean, there's construction everywhere, houses going up everywhere. So if you have money to invest, this is the place to be. This is the place to be, whether it be housing or businesses, whatever it is. This is the place to be. Um, because there's a lot going on here in Kigali. So, but I just wanted to share this quick video, not necessarily quick, but I want to share this video on this one thing you really need to consider, one thing you need to think about if you are considering moving to Rwanda. You need to, especially Kigali, you need to think about the traffic, and the driving, and the allergies. I don't know about any good jazz clubs. I'm not necessarily into jazz, so I can't help you there, unfortunately, Wando. But If there is not a good jazz club here, then you can make it one. You can make one. That's the blessing about, that's the wonderful thing about being here at Kigali, because you come here, you get on the ground. We've been here for a little bit over 5 months, and you see where what is missing, what is needed. It's open. Um, and so, you can, I mean, like, it's easy to start a business here. Um, you can start a business in a day. What we've done is we have not started a business, but we have, our plan was to come here, get on the ground, kind of feel our way, and see where, where God will have for us to be. Um, if we are to start a business here. But if that's your plan, if you have the money to invest, this is the place to do it. But you also want to make sure that, if you choose to invest here, you want to make sure that you are doing your due diligence, and getting on the ground. Don't just invest and you have not been on the ground. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what the city or the country needs, because you will throw your money into a big hole. Um, so please make sure you do that before you choose to invest. Make sure you check it out and get on the ground. But that's all I have for you guys today. I want to thank you all for viewing. If this is your first time, please like, subscribe, share, um, as we are documenting our journey here in Rwanda. We began a couple years ago as we were trying to figure out where we were to be, and now we have made it to Rwanda, and this is our journey. Thanks for viewing, and we'll catch you in the next video.